beginning of
All right, give me just one quick
But I will move some.
that bar up. We're going to mute everybody out just while we're doing the meeting. We'll leave it where you
Anywhere. You just pick one and put your name on.
Give me one quick second. And there we go. All right. Okay, so today is November 3rd. Hopefully you guys go out and vote for whoever your candidate is. It's a great right we have here in the U.S. Today we have an awesome speaker. We're going to be that's going to lead today's training, Mr. Dylan Wood. He's actually let me unmute you there, Dylan. He's actually been with the company since June 2014, and I'm going to give you some of his stats here that are just really incredible. He's averaging. Whoops, where'd it go here? He's actually averaged. So I pulled up his last 3 months. He's written 96 apps off of 215 leads, a 45% closing ratio. For the last 6 months, 177 apps off of 406 for a 44%. And for the last year, he's written just under 200,000, 198,886 off 727 leads, 336 apps. He has a 46% closing ratio. And just phenomenal. I actually believe for our English-speaking agents, I believe he has the highest closing ratio in our agency, which we'll verify and we'll let you guys know. But I'm almost positive he's probably one of the highest. And so today he's going to be talking a little bit about what it is that he does. At the end, we'll go ahead and open up for questions, and then anybody that'd like to reach out to him personally can also do so. So without further ado, man, I'm going to turn it over to the one and only Dylan Wood. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, Adam. How you doing today? Thank you for having me on the Zoom meet, man. It's always a challenge, and we never have information. We always give it out, so proud to do it. So hope everyone's having a good day today. Wanted to go over a few things. I guess we'll just jump right into it. In our industry, always about attitude. And Adam, did you want to get right into it, or did you want to go over a few things, or how do you want to do it, brother?
Hey, let me make sure you're hooked up to our Wi-Fi. Hold on real quick.
Okay, all right, yeah, let's make sure.
Give me 1 second.
All right, take your time. Hope everyone's having a day. Got a little bit lag. Let me hop in there just real quick. Check it out. Give me a second.
Guys, want to make sure we got the best Wi-Fi picked here. Close up on my bald head. All right, let's see. Let's try this one.
Sorry about that. You're good. Go ahead.
So yeah, let's go ahead and just talk about what you do, how you achieve such consistent success. Okay. Month in and month out, your numbers are like clockwork. I mean, you're probably not only the highest English closing ratio, but the most consistent. Your production's always, the leads that you take. How do you accomplish that, month in and month out?
Okay. So that's a very good thing to cover, because as you know, like I've always been told by Adam, by the great Nate Berrigan, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I've seen agents come in and be really good about the business, write 30,000 plus, and then, they fizzle out. Unless you're Howard Geyer, doing that consistently is obviously a challenge. And one of the things that I do is I like, you have to like what you do. I like going out and talking to people, educating them. Always into sports when I was growing up, so I look at it as a sport mindset. I've got to get my reps in. No matter how long I've been here, no matter how many presentations I do, you know, I always know that I have to keep my tools sharp, keep my sword sharp. And the only way to do that is by staying active and, you know, going and seeing the people. I still practice my presentation. I still practice rebuttals. I've been here coming up for just over 6 years. I still mess up. You know, I still go back to my car and like, hey, what could I have done better? You know, what could I have said to maybe get in the house or close the deal? But another thing too is, you know, just like I was speaking, it's all about mindset, and it's all about attitude and how you look at the business, because it's so easy, especially when you're out here by yourself, when you're working 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. It's easy, you know, to be gung-ho when everything is going your way, right? You know, when you're writing deals, you're writing 20,000, 25,000, you got money coming in. It's easy to be like, I love this job, I love this gig. It's hard to be able to do that when stuff's going bad, when you've been working 10, 12 hours a day and you haven't written anything and you feel like, oh man, I'm just driving around wasting gas, talking to people who aren't interested. One of the things that I look at it like is like, hey, when I'm out there, I'm putting in the time. You know, I'm seeing the people, I'm putting the time, I'm getting my reps in. Because just like a 9 to 5, I know that if I put the hours in, it's always going to equate to deals. And that's one of the things that I always share with my new agents coming on board is like, hey, you know, some days you're going to go out there and you're going to work all day and you're going to get the last pounds, or some days you're not going to get anything. But you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it, hey, I'm driving around wasting my time, or hey, I'm getting all these people out the way and I'm putting my time. You know, it's your choice to be able to look at it however you want to look at it. But when you do that, you know, it seems like you're a lot more level-headed, and you can be ready for the people who know that they need this program and who are qualified applicants. So the biggest thing that I would give to any new agent or any seasoned agent, you're seasoned, you already know the get down, but it's all how you perceive it. You know, it's all how you perceive it. I look at it like, sure, I can go out 1 or 2 days and not make a deal, but I can go out one day and make what someone's busting their back at a 9 to 5, and you know, and what they make in a week, we can make in a day. You know, so it's all about mindset, all about how you look at it. And I'm very repetitive. Anybody that's worked with me, they know that, you know, when I go into a house, it's the same. I mean, obviously there's some occasions where you might have to switch things up a bit and you might have to freestyle a little bit, but for the most part, it's the same thing over and over. I'm saying the same jokes. I'm saying, you know, the same presentation. I'm giving the same story. So that's typically how, you know, how I've been able to stay steady with my production. And I like doing this. You know, my family, as everyone knows, we're in the farming industry. So before I was doing this, we were working out in the field, busting our back in the heat. And this is, you know, this is cake work. I like driving around. I like seeing people, I like talking to people. And, you know, sometimes, especially with this job, I'm an extrovert. I like talking to people. I like explaining how we're going to assist them, because I truly believe in this product. It's easy to say that, but I truly believe in it, because I've seen my clients, what they went through when they were taken care of by Golden Memorial, Lincoln Heritage, and Taylor Legacy. And I've heard the horror stories when they're insured by other companies. So I truly believe in it. I have conviction. I believe when I'm sitting down with somebody, you know, obviously we go through the very part, a very, very key factor, because that's putting everything on the table. When they tell me that they don't have anything in place for this, and they don't know how their son, their daughter, their husband, their family is going to pay for it, I have a certain amount of conviction when I'm talking to them, because I know that this is going to make this time easier when this time comes. So I think that definitely helps able to go out there and push this product the way that we do, is because, you know, you believe in it. So.
Well, hey, and Dylan, so kind of walk us through how you plan out like you would plan out like your normal day, normal week. You know, how do you select your leads? How do you go to the door? You know, kind of that whole process.
Well, I use an application on my phone. It's called Route for Me, and you can basically build a route. You know, you get your leads. You know, obviously everyone knows. You know, you go to that route. I never try to really bounce back. I'm not one of those guys that's like, you know, these people are 70, people are 50. I'm gonna, you know, try to work the 50-year-olds at the nighttime and the 70-year-olds in the daytime. I plug my leads in and I follow the route. But I keep, like, if you look at my phone right now or my route for me, I have leads all the way from Sacramento down to Bakersfield, all the way over to Palmdale, Lancaster. So anytime I'm in an area, I know that I have X amount of leads. Not I plug those in, but I think one of the things that can test to my closing ratio is I think I'm very efficient with the leads. I think I'm very efficient with the leads in the sense that I might buy 10 leads, and if I sell 1 or 2 of them that day, I'm still, if they haven't said, hey, I'm calling the cops, or I don't want this, or they buy, then that's a fresh lead to me. Just the other day, me and Jeremy Foster, I had maybe about, I want to say, close to 50 leads from the past year that I've had between Turlock to Modesto, and we were working them, and I believe we sold 3 or 4 deals just out of the, they were year-old leads. We sold some that were even a little bit longer than that. So I'm a firm believer that, hey, when you have that lead, you pay for it, you pay good money for it, you have to work it to the bone. And just because they're a little bit older doesn't mean anything. That just kind of gives you more leverage because they haven't done anything yet. One of the things that I was saying over and over again, once again, I always kind of repeat myself, is like, you waited a year. Look, we're out here barely getting to you. What are you going to do? Wait another year? You have something that you have to do this at some point. But that's what I'll do. I always just stay on the route, and I'll just get whatever's coming to me. But I don't discriminate. I go to any areas. I don't care if it's an hour or 2 hours away. I believe in this product, and I believe in myself. I believe in myself enough that I don't care if I have to go 2 hours away, 2.5, 3 hours. I know that I have X amount of people that I'm going to get in front of. I know I'm going to close those deals. I know I'm going to close them. So that goes back to the conviction.
Are you working in the field currently, or are you just working over the
phone? Yeah, I'm working in the field currently. I'm switching over to the phone. I did the same exact stuff. The one that was different was, hey, I wasn't in person. We were doing over the phone. Obviously, it's a little bit tougher. They can hang up on you, but I see people that are like, oh, I'm sick, you can't come in. They look healthy as an ox, but they're saying I'm sick. I think I ran into COVID. For the most part, I believe that with this whole scare that's going on, everyone's kind of living in a little bit of a fear right now. That kind of helped a little bit because Lincoln Heritage hasn't done any. They haven't turned anyone down because of COVID. They paid out X amount of dollars. I believe it's a couple million in COVID claims. So I a life insurance for myself. I also have Lincoln Heritage, but I had gotten another life insurance, a larger one, just because we're out on the road. And they wouldn't. When I first applied, it took like 4 or 5 months because they weren't sure what was going to happen with this COVID situation. So that's one of the things that I explained too. Is like, hey, Lincoln Heritage is not slowing down. Taylor Legacy, Golden Memorial, we're not slowing down because of this COVID-19 situation. In fact, we're here to help you even more now because it's that much more important. But yes, I've been out in the field and people have been very receptive. Obviously, I wear my mask. To be honest with you, most of the times, people never want me to put the mask on. Every now and then you might get a few people say, yeah, can you pull it? But whenever I get in the door, especially if I have to work a little bit, I always want to transfer I can't think of the word right now, but the power of the situation. If I'm trying to get in the door, when I get in the door, I want to give them some of the power back because we're in their house. I want to make them feel comfortable. So even if I walk into a hoarder's house, I'll even say, hey, you want me to take off the shoes? Is it okay if I come in? That way I'm saying, hey, I was a little pushy at the door. We're in your house. I respect you. I respect your house. Take the shoes off. Now I'm just saying, hey, when we take the shoes off and put the mask on. So, but I haven't had too much kickback.
So how are you overcoming it if someone says, yeah, oh, why are you out here selling because of COVID? Why are you at my house?
Well, it's simple, stupid. I'm saying, hey, I'm always reverting back to the script. Just like I said, I always, I'm very repetitive in these things. I'm saying, hey, the company comes out because we have a few health questions to ask you to see if you qualify for our immediate coverage. Typically, whenever you do stuff over the phone, there is that waiting period. Typically, there is. That's not to say with all companies, but I will make them aware that, hey, we're trying to get them the best rate. We're trying to, been saying a lot lately is one of the things that I pride myself on when I come out here and see people send this out here is to educate people on not only how our insurance works, but how insurance as a whole works and how they tie into final expenses. Because if you don't do this every day, if you're not in the insurance industry or you don't do insurance every day, it's very easy to see stuff over the phone or email and think it's a deal of a lifetime, but it's not going to assist you with your final expenses. So that's one of the things that I kind of, I don't want to say bait them, but I mean, I'm kind of throwing that out there so that way hopefully they'll bite on it and they'll want to give me the time, because just like I said, at the end of the day, what we're doing out here is educating people on how this process goes. So COVID, I'll say, I'm in compliance. I have my mask. I'll definitely put it on. Or if they're completely against it, I will offer them, hey, we can do it outside. If you want to step outside, we can have our 6 feet distance. Or if they're completely scared, they're living in fear, they don't want me in, which is completely fine. I completely understand. Then that's when I'll kind of backpedal to do a phone interview. So just like how back in the day you'd always try to get an appointment. That's your last thing that you want to do. You always want to try to get in the house and get the deal done. Now, instead of doing the appointment, I'm just trying to do an appointment over the phone if they're completely against it. Obviously, if they're willing to set an appointment with me, then I'll go that route the first time. Or that's my first option. But if they're completely against it, then I'll do it over the phone. That's fine with me. When you do it over the phone, after you kind of made that not connection, but you've introduced yourself, they know that they're talking to a real person. It kind of makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, whatever is best for the client is always best for me. So that's kind of how I'm overcoming it.
And being that you've got a 46% closing ratios, our closing ratio over the last 12 months, when you take, let's say, 20 leads as an example in an area, and you said, I know driving to Bakersfield or Sacramento's 2.5 hours one way, just to give people an idea, on a daily basis. Many of the agents in this area, especially in the Central Valley, that's their day to day, an hour and a half, 2 hours one way, for the most part. And, again, you've been doing it here for over 6 years. What do you typically go on, what's your mindset and what are your typical results? You get 20 leads, or let's even call it just 10 leads. You have 10 leads you're going out to see. If you actually talk to how many of those 10 leads, how many presentations will you get?
Well, obviously the goal is to try to get all those leads. We want to try to get as many. Obviously, everyone knows it's a numbers game. So if you have 10 leads, you want to try to get in contact with all those people. And as agents, we always want to try to get our production and get obviously paid and get the family covered as soon as possible. So the goal, if I take 10, 15 leads, the goal in my head is, okay, I'm going to work from sun up to sundown, especially if I'm going far like that, or even close. I'm going to work until dark, and I'm going to go and bang on as many doors as I can, and I'm going to try to contact as many people. Obviously, I want to sell all of them, but the only thing that's in my mind when I'm going out there is I'm going to try to make contact with every single lead, and I'm going to give it my all. And just like I said, I do have, we have the system. We are very lucky, to be working with Taylor Legacy and Adam Hill, because, man, he really is giving everything on a platter for you. You don't have to be knowledgeable in insurance. You don't have to be knowledgeable in sales. You don't even have to be a good salesman. You have to be a hard worker. We're going to give you everything that you have to implement in the field. All you have to do is trust us and go and do it. I didn't have any sales experience. I didn't have any insurance experience. I literally passed my test, saw these guys making money, saw these guys closing deals. They said, learn the script. I learned the script. If I came across anything, I'm asking for help. But, I've worked with other agents in Golden Memorial, that aren't under Adam Hill, and they aren't provided those types of things. They aren't provided a script. They aren't provided, a survey. Sometimes it's, hey, good luck, flap your wings, let's see how you can do. Working with Adam Hill, man, he's putting everything in front of you, he's putting everything right there on a platter for you. All you have to do is implement it and go put the time in it. I can't even say too much other than that. That's the only thing that you have to do. I have a new agent coming on board. He just started running leads on the 21st, and I believe last month, he's working for a little over a week. He already had like 4,500 in the books for last month, and he has $5,000 post-dated for this month. Didn't come with any sales experience. I believe he was a bartender, and he used to lay floors. He's a hard worker, and that's what I was telling him. You don't have to be the best salesman in this industry. You have to be the hardest worker, right? And he's killing it. And, you know, he's never questioned anything that I told him and give him advice, and he implements it day in and day out. You learn the script, and he's writing deals left and right. So, I mean, you got to take advantage of that stuff. Adam Held does a lot for us. And if you're not taking advantage of the lead credits and everything that he's putting out for us, I mean, the only person that you're hurting is yourself, you know?
Yeah. Hey, don't forget, we're giving away a car. We got a car contest going.
Who's giving away a car? We're giving away a car and a trip. They're just throwing stuff out. All you got to do is work. And I tell all my guys, man, all those incentives are wonderful. They're lovely, you know. They're lovely, lovely. It gives you extra incentive to go out and work. How I look at them, obviously, I want to win all of them. But I got to work no matter what. So they're doing this just for doing our job. You know, either way, if there is an incentive or not, we got to go out here and grind. We got to go protect families. We got to go make money. So those extra incentives, I mean, you're giving it, or you're doing your job. You know.
Hey Dylan, what'd you deposit last month? How much was it roughly?
No, man, dude. You know what? These last couple months have been pretty good for your boy. Before the pandemic, you know, I'll share. You know, I don't have any qualms about telling how much I make. That's one of my biggest. When I sit down with an agent, you know, obviously I like to talk a little bit. I like to pump people up, but I believe the biggest way, and I kind of learned this from that. I did learn this from Adam, is showing them your numbers. There's no BS. I show everybody my deposits. I just put a scroll of my deposits on Instagram. I'm trying to get people who are hungry. But dude, right now it's averaging between 15 and 20 grand. I'm making more money than I've ever made in the pandemic. You know, where can you do that? You know, I see people who have 9-to-5s who are struggling, and I feel so bad for them because, you know, it's a tough time that we're going through. But how lucky are we that we work for a company where when the pandemic hits, a global pandemic, your income goes straight up. People ask me, how's the insurance industry doing? I don't even say nothing. This is what I do.
Right on. Well, and so Dylan, so we got your door. Can you go ahead and give us your presentation, and then what we'll do is we'll open up for questions. But let's
yeah. So before the door presentation, now obviously I preach to my guys, and anybody that I talk to is like, hey, you got 3 seconds, man. You got 3 seconds to make that first impression, right? Once you make that first impression, you can never get it back. You can never get it back. So I'm a firm believer that, hey, when I'm walking out the door of my car, I'm smiling. No matter what I'm going through, I believe, you know, just like I said, attitude, even if you're going through bad stuff, you got to be able to put that stuff aside, and you got to be able to not bring that into the house. You know, every house, every door that you go to is a brand new start. I always tell people the best and the worst part of this business is that when the day's over, the day's over. It doesn't matter if it's a goose egg. You can wake up the next morning and be like, man, I'm glad that day's over and never have to think about it. Then today's a brand new day. Or when you go at $300, $400, $500 in premium, you have to wake up and get up and do it again. That doesn't mean nothing today. So I smile big when I'm walking even to the door, so that way if they're seeing me out of, you know, their window, or they see me walking up, they're seeing someone that looks in a good mood. I'm smiling big. I'm saying, hey, my name is Andrew Wood. I always introduce myself and who I'm with first and foremost, because sometimes people think that you're going to serve them. They think that they're in trouble. Sometimes I'm wearing black. They can mistake you for the police, law enforcement, probation. So I always make them aware of who I am first. Hey, my name is Andrew Wood. I'm with Lincoln Heritage. I have a delivery for a Jane Doe. Are they available? And they say, yeah, that's me. What kind of delivery you got? And as soon, if I have a direct mail lead, I'm putting it right in their face so they can see it. Hey, you sent us in requesting information on the Female Advantage program through Lincoln Heritage, and the company asked me to come out and deliver your benefits package. May I come in? That simple. I got the benefits package obviously from DO. It's a great tactic because I believe in sales, everything is all mental, right? If you build up those walls, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult for you to tear them down. You're probably not going to be able to. So one of the ways that I get over that is I don't ever want to build those walls. I want you to know that, hey, I'm here to deliver your information. There's no cost, no obligation. I'm just here to provide you with a free quote. Obviously, there's 100 different ways that you can go about having objections, but typically that's it. And one thing that I can advise, and it took me a little longer to get comfortable with this, but you have to say, may I come in? You have to say, may I come in? Because that's going to make your job so much easier. Sometimes, most of the time, you're going to be like, yeah, come in. You know, I did request that. Come on in. say, hey, is there somewhere to sit down? Do you have a few minutes? That is just giving them an out. So get very comfortable with saying, hey, I come in. Once I'm in the house, obviously, just like I said, I'm trying to transfer some of that power over to them, especially if I had to go a little bit harder at the door, if I was a little bit more persistent than normal. Hey, let me take the shoes off. Let me put the mask on. That way I'm transferring the power over to them and, kind of makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. And then, basic stuff, I'm just trying to talk to them. I want to peel them back a little bit. I want to get them comfortable so that way they're not so tense. They're not thinking, oh my gosh, I have a salesman in my house and he's going to want to try to sell me. I want to get that completely out of the equation. So I'm just trying to talk to them, saying jokes. Hey, are you originally from this area? I'm from Chowchilla. Most people only know it for the bus kidnapping, the women's prison. Other than that, you blink, you miss the exits, ha, ha, ha. Try to spark a conversation with them. Obviously, some people are going to want to talk. And if they want to talk, I can talk. I never am one of those people like, okay, I got 10 leads. I got to go try to, I got to get out of this house that I'm in right now, making this connection with this person so I can go and try to hit the other 9. When I'm in the house, obviously I want to get to all of them, but when I'm in with somebody, I want to sink my talents in deep to them because I don't know if this might be. I can do this presentation today and I can go and knock for 6, 7 hours, 8 hours in the field and might not catch anybody home. So now I got somebody, I'm going to sink my talents in deep to them, let them talk, and then it's going straight to the survey. If you're not doing the survey, you're definitely missing out because those survey questions are bringing the people back to the time, to the mindset of when they requested the information. When they were sitting at that table, when they filled out the direct mail, when they went on the website, when they called the television commercial. I want to take them back to that moment and those feelings that they had because it was important to them then. I want to make sure it's just as important now. And then I'll go straight into the presentation. So let me just go ahead and do the presentation, Adam. All right, we'll get right into it. So
yeah, that's where I was on mute.
All right, I always use the materials that Lincoln Heritage has for us. I do all of my presenting off of this bad boy right here. So I'll do the presentation, I'll ask them the questions, and then I'll go straight into it. I won't even get, even if I said, hey, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, provide you the quote. Once I'm in the house, I'm going to do my thing because at the end of the day, what I tell people is like, look, you want to be respectful, you want to be courteous to these people, but when you're in their house for the next 45 minutes to an hour or however long you do your presentation, you have to own it. You have to own it. So do the survey, and I'll just pull this bad boy out. I'll say, okay, so Lincoln Heritage has actually provided a 2-part system. We've actually designed this program for people who are on fixed incomes, so everybody can be able to afford it. Now, it's we're the nation's only fully assisted female program. So that means there's 2 parts. The first part that I'm going to touch on is the funding. Now, the funding is going to be provided by Lincoln Heritage. You see, I'm putting this a visual to them. I'm trying to put a visual to them so that way they can remember it. So sometimes you can go one and out the other, but the first part I'm going to talk about is the funding. Now, this funding is provided by Lincoln Heritage, a national company. We've been in business for over 50 years, and because it is a national company, because we plan so many services each week, we are the largest final expense company throughout the nation. Typically, these other companies that you may see, they can offer stuff to your house, your health, your car. The reason why we're #1 for final expense is because this is all that we focus our efforts on. Now, it is a whole life benefit. That means that your premiums are never going to go up and your benefits will never go down. So no matter what changes with you as time goes on, nothing changes with this. And we'll also work with any funeral homes or any organizations of your choice. Now, I do have to ask you, since you see stuff from us in the mail and on TV and on the internet, you have to see stuff from companies like AARP or Globe Life, correct? They say yes. Very good companies, very reputable organizations. The biggest difference, though, between us and them is that they offer what's called a term insurance. Are you aware of the differences between term and whole life? No, I'm not aware of it. I'm going to make it so easy where you won't be able to forget it. Now, term insurance is like a president. A president has 4 years in office, right? After that first 4 years, they have to re-elect. After that second 4 years, even if everybody were to vote for that president again, they cannot do a third term, correct? Same thing with a term insurance. So AARP, for example, they will give you a 5-year term. Once that 5 years passes, they're going to ask you to come back based upon your current age. You say, I'm healthier than I was 5 years ago, I'm just 5 years older. With your age goes your premium, and they'll do that over and over again every 5 years until you reach a term out age. Every term insurance has a term out age, usually about 80 to 85. Now, once you reach that age, they say, thank you for all the money that you sent in, but you're no longer covered and you don't get any of that money back. So you wouldn't want term insurance for your final arrangements because you don't have to worry about dropping or switching as the time goes on. Now, you always want to stay in the whole life. Hundreds and hundreds of companies can offer you a whole life benefit. That's not really special. What separates us from these other companies and makes us number one for final arrangements is this. This is called the Guardian Society. How this works is once you start up with Lincoln Heritage, you usually have a pin or circle on it. Once you start up with Lincoln Heritage, you receive a free membership to the Guardian Society. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to assist your family with all the legwork. They're going to be their advocate to make sure they're not taken advantage of or overcharged or any of the aspects of the final arrangement. Now, I want to be very clear about this. We don't ever make the final decisions. That's always up to your family and yourself. What we do with this is we take care of all the particulars. All the stuff that your family's not going to want to have to do, like physically going down to funeral home, talking about prices, products, so on and so forth. So the way that we're going to alleviate that and identify exactly what you want for yourself are these two forms. These two forms, in these two forms is every question that a funeral director is going to ask during that time, except now you get to decide what you want in the comfort of your own home. And your daughter, your son, whoever's taking care of this for you, won't have to make these thousands and thousands of dollars of business decisions on the other end of a professional. Because make no mistake about it, typically what they want to find out is how much money you have to spend and to maximize it. So with us, you'll simply fill these two forms out, you'll send them back, it's going to archive in our systems, and whenever that call is made to the Guardian Society, this is what we do all the planning off of, your written out last wishes. You're also going to receive 5 of these ID cards. Now, just like I said earlier, I have Lincoln Heritage, so I always pull out my personal, when you see that, the Andrew Wood, I always pull out my personal ID cards. I say, you're going to receive 5 of these. These are mine. Yours are going to look the exact same way, except they're going to have your name and your membership number on it. See how I'm planting those seeds? How these come into play is you're going to give these to your closest 5 friends or family members. The only thing your family is going to have to do is pick up this card and make that phone call. The reason why these are so important is because whenever this time comes and someone passes away, typically a family member goes down to the funeral home, and the funeral home is always going to ask this question: how are you going to pay for it? Do you want to pay for it out of pocket, or do you have a life insurance? Well, when your family says we have a life insurance, this is how my parents were always supposed to have me pay for it, the funeral home is going to say, perfect. Bring that life insurance policy down. Let's review it. Let's make sure it's still active. But most importantly, what they're going to want to see is how much it's worth. That way, they know how much they can charge you. Okay? Then, after they do the quote, they're going to want you to assign the policy over. And I always stress this. I always highlight this. If you can remember one thing upon meeting me today, I want you to remember this. Do not ever take your policy down to a funeral home and assign it over to a funeral home director, because think of this. Assigning your policy is like if you were to sell me your vehicle. What happens if you sign in the back of that pink slip and you give it and I purchase it from you? It's my car. I can resell it. I can burn it up. I can do whatever I want with it. And it's the exact same thing with the life insurance policy. So instead of that happening to your family, that's when we step in. That's when we step in and we take care of the most important things for your family. And that's the price talks and the negotiations with those particular funeral home directors. Now, that's convenient for your family because, one, regular people really have no idea of what these things should cost, especially during that time. And funeral homes know that. So what we do is we never allow the funeral home to know what your family has to spend out of this or any other avenues of money. Because, one, it's another business, and two, once they do figure out what you have to spend, they're going to fit that bill to match that policy. And the only reason why they can do that is because there's no regulation. So what that means is if you were to go to every funeral home you can think of in your area and you were to ask the same exact service to the T, you're going to get a different quote every single time. So what we want you to do to combat that with is we ask you to provide 3 funeral homes. So when that time comes, based upon your request, we can price check between the 3 and see which one's going to offer your family the lowest possible rate. Now, by all means, we're never going to tell your family who to go with. We're never going to tell your family what to spend. We're just going to make your families aware, make sure they're aware of any way to conserve funds. So whatever is used out of this benefit for your service goes back to your family where you intended it to go versus going to a funeral home director. And then I'll go into whatever situation they want. They want burial, cremation. I'll give them examples. I'll even give an example of that assignment. I'll kind of double back on that. I want to highlight these things. You know, I recently had got a lady involved in Fresno, and she had two policies: a $30,000 or a $30,000 and $15,000 policy. And she assigned both those policies over because she thought the funeral home was going to take care of her. They gave her $8,000 back, guys. $37,000 this funeral home in Fresno charged this lady for a service. And the worst part about it was she had to go put the plot, the headstone, the grave liner on her credit card for an additional $3,000. That's $40,000 that they took from this lady who just lost her husband. She started crying. She's talking about losing her husband. And this was a year after. Imagine how she was at that time. They took advantage. This lady lived in a single wide trailer in the trailer park. $30,000, even if she would have signed the 15 over, $30,000 would have changed her life. But it didn't because be a little more long-winded now, but I will always sum this up. I know it's a lot to take in. The place to take care of the legwork based upon your request, make sure your family gets the fairest rates, but most importantly, what this is going to do, especially within that time, this is going to oversee the bills coming directly from those funeral homes to make sure there's no unnecessary charges. If you could take one thing for myself and this company versus all the other companies that you see on a day-to-day basis, it's that we're the only company on a national level that flourishes every year financially wise on saving families money. Everyone else can do two things for you, and I'm not saying anything bad about it because look, sir, any way you take care of it is good for yourself and it's even better for your family. But this is what you can expect. They're going to take your money every month, and when this time comes, they will make your family wait 30 to 90 days before that money is available. Remember I asked you traditional and final expense, the difference? Traditional life insurance will not assist with the legwork, but more importantly, they typically are going to take the 30 to 90 days. So what your family is going to be forced to do with those types of policies is one of two things. They're going to be forced to go down to the funeral home, make those decisions, pay the money out of their pocket, and wait for the life insurance to reimburse them 30 to 90 days later. Or what most people do, instead of being out of any money for any time, they go down to the funeral home and they say, please take my assignment of my policy. That's the only reason why people do it. No one would ever want to go and say, hey, I have X amount of dollars. You please tell me how to spend it. No one would ever do that. People are forced. They're forced to do that. So I want to be very clear with us, because ours are for final expenses, and once again, I'd be circling it with a pen, our benefits are going to be paid out within 24 hours of claim approval. We're not going to make your family wait an arm and a leg or 30 to 90 days to get this money. We're not going to make them jump through hoops, and we're dang sure not going to make it where your family is going to have to assign those policies over to the funeral home director. These are going to be put in place for that time. Once again, it's a whole life benefit. There's no health exams, just a few questions, and rates and benefits will be locked in for the life of the policy. This next part is so important, and I learned this from the great Jesse Escobar. I learned it from him. This also comes along with your program. You probably have heard of this before. Most banks offer it. Who do you happen to bank with? I've asked that question before I put any money on the table to them. They don't even think to lie that they don't have a bank account. It comes out so nonchalant. Hey, you probably heard this before. Most banks offer it. Who do you happen to bank with? Probably heard it with your bank. Oh, I bank with Bank of America. I bank with this. Perfect. They offer you an accidental program. Yeah, I throw that stuff away, or no, whatever they say. Then depending on what they want. If they want a burial, I usually write $10,000 right here. If they want a cremation, I might write 6. But I'm just writing a number right here so I can make sure to explain to them, hey, no matter which way you pass away, whether it's accidental or natural cause, your family's always going to receive the $10,000. If you were to pass away due to an accident, your family's going to receive the original 10 plus the additional. And then I'll just on the sheet. Then I'll say, I'm going to tell you one more thing, and then I'll ask you some health questions and see what we get qualified for. I'm going to tell you why we have these in place, because these are the most important part of our program. So let's say it's another 30 years down the road from now and you're in the hospital, and the nurse comes in and lets your family know that you just passed away. The nurse is always going to say, I'm sorry for your loss. My condolences, of course, with you and the family. I know every time I've had to take care of one of my family members, they usually give you about an hour and they start saying, what's next? And, you know, matter of fact, last time I had to take care of it for my family, it didn't feel like they gave us 30 minutes before they asked that question. At that time, what would you rather have your children do? Would you rather have them open up the yellow pages, smartphone, try to find that time, not knowing who they're going to get, what kind of price they're going to charge them? Or would you rather have everything planned out, and the only thing your family has to do is pick up that card and make that phone? I don't even let them answer. It's a reciprocal, how do you say reciprocal rhetorical? You know what I mean. It's one of those questions. I answer them for themselves. I say, hey, we're going to have to pick up this card. This is how we're going to present it to them. A is this much, B is this much, and C is this much. Which one do you want to choose? Pull out the application, ask the health questions, get the quotes, close them. Clockwork, every time. That's the system every time. Sure, you might run into stuff where you might have to switch things up or you might have to freestyle a little bit, but I want to say 90% of the time, that's what I do. Every time, 90% of the time.
All right, Dylan. And so you thought the application in every house?
Yeah. So I will ask the health questions. I even like maybe asking their date of birth, so that way I can get as much of it as I can filled out as possible. And then obviously I'll do the little tedious checks like owner, premium.
Hey, Dylan, I lost you there. Hold on one second.
How far did you get?
Okay. Say that again. Say that one more time, that last 10 seconds.
So I'll use the application. I'll check the tedious stuff like the premium loan, the FCGS, owner, stuff like that. I'll try to get as much of that checked in as I can. And then, but really I'm using obviously the application and see what they qualify for. But I also use the application as a closing technique. I've used it since day one, and even though we use the secure app, I still do this to this day. I'll give the quotes, and then if I was going to do it, I got one. Perfect. So as soon as they tell us, hey, I might do that one, I'm assuming the sale. I'm going straight to who's going to be the beneficiary, who's going to be the contingent. I'm starting to fill out and finish the application because, as you know, a good representative knows, you never are going to ask flat out, hey, do you want to do it? That's giving them an out to say, no, I don't. I'm assuming the sale all the way through. I'm writing as much of the stuff as I can get, social, date of birth, name, address. I'll fill out the FCGS, and as soon as I'm filling out the FCGS form, I'll simply say, very nonchalant once again, okay, perfect. We'll get a couple authorizations and check me out to Lincoln Heritage. Now, that's when the objections may come in, or that's when they get up and go grab their checkbook. Then, obviously, if they're going to get their checkbook, I'll ask, hey, when did you want to make the initial amount? If they say today, then I'll say, perfect. You can actually save that check. I'm going to transfer all the information that I have on your paper application over here to my Trusted Secure app. What this does is this takes all your information and sends it instantaneously to the company. And that way, I don't have to take your account information, your social. I'm going to be able to leave all these papers with you. And by that time, I'm just transferring information over to the Secure app. I've gotten kind of quick at it as of late, so it's just reading off the paper and boom. So that way I'm ready for either way they want to go. Whether they want to make it today, I want to secure out so I can get paid as quick as possible, or if they want to post date it out and they want to do a check, well, hey, I got my paper application ready to go as well. So
Now,
They'll do it.
and you said, so you give them, and prior to doing all that, you said after you give, you go through the app, you give them three options. Walk us through that, what that looks like when you're writing out the three.
So for burials, obviously if you see someone a little bit younger, I might do 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. But for the most part, I'm doing 10,000, 12,000, and 15,000. For cremation, I'm doing 6, 8, 10. I always make them aware that, hey, this isn't saying how much your service is going to cost. This is how much money is going to be allocated to your family, because I just went over the presentation on how we're going to save them money. This is how much money is going to be allocated to your family during that time. Whatever isn't used will go directly back to your beneficiary. And that's how I'll do it.
Perfect. And any other tips on the process or anything that you typically are, because you are training a lot of agents, again, like you'd mentioned, you have a new agent doing really well because they learned the scripts, they're putting in the work. What are some other things that you would tell someone that's struggling or a new agent on what they need to do to succeed here?
So luckily I've recently come across some very hardworking people who are willing to take all the advice that I give them and are willing to put the time in. And one of the things that I always tell everybody is, look, you have to learn that presentation. You have to learn that script. And I tell everybody this, you do that presentation 30 to 50 times a week. What else are you going to do? That's your bread and butter. You should know that script like the back of your hand. And even be as robotic as possible, because over time and through repetition, you're going to be able to make it your own. And I always tell people, look, this has to be your own. You have to take this knowledge and this information that we're giving you, you have to make your own. If you don't make it your own, it's not going to work. It has to be a personal thing. They're buying you at the end of the day, right? If they were buying just the product alone, then Lincoln Heritage will be able to do this stuff without us. But they have us for a reason, because it's 50-50. Product, and the other half is you. You're selling yourself. So I always tell people, of course, they're not going to remember the whole presentation. They're not going to remember every word that I said to them. They're not going to remember none of that. But what they are going to remember is they're going to remember the feeling. They're going to remember the feeling that they got from you. They're going to say, hey, he seemed knowledgeable. He was nice. He seemed like he knew what he was talking about. I have a good feeling about him. I trust him. I mean, they're going to help him with all. They're going to help us with all this. They might not remember everything, but that script is right there to, whether you're seasoned or whether you're a rookie, to seem like you know what you're talking about. So that way, as you go, you can learn this stuff, but that way you have a foundation. So 30 to 50 times a week, I tell people to do that. If you aren't willing to do that, then I'm not willing to, because that shows you right there that if you're not willing to do 30 to 50 presentations a week, you're not going to be willing to go 2.5 hours. You're not going to be willing to stay in a hotel and go work 3 or 4 days in Palmdale, Lancaster, like us Chowchilla boys have to do. If you're not willing to practice that presentation and practice your rebuttals, then you're not willing to work. So I would say, if you're going to be out running leads and you do 5 presentations or you do 10 presentations in a week, well, hey, you have to do the 30 or the 20 by yourself. Do them in the mirror. Do them on the way to work. When I started, I wouldn't even listen to music. I wouldn't listen to radio. I would be practicing my presentation over and over again, and then I would say it all the way through, and whatever objection that was giving me a tough time the day before or in that week, I would say that objection to myself, because just how slick you have to be and how knowledgeable and how comfortable you have to be with the information and the presentation, you have to be that exact same way when someone gives you an objection. Because if you're stuttering, trying to think what you're going to say, people are going to understand that. They're going to be able to see that, and they're going to be like, okay, this guy's trying to make a sale. This guy's just, he's a salesman. He just wants to come and close me. So that's what I would advise. Never, look, I always tell people, we're home run hitters, right? We're 3-point shooters. Sure, sometimes you shoot a three-point shot and you airball, but that doesn't mean you don't shoot again. Sure, you go up, you hit 50 home runs in a year. Sure, you go up and you strike out. Doesn't mean you don't go up and bat again. So that's one of the ways that I look at it. Funny analogies, but that's kind of what helps me get through it.
Well, and another thing too is, for new agents, ask for help. Practice this stuff. call your manager, say, what would you say in this situation? Call your manager, put them on speakerphone. And the next time, whether you're able to sell it or not, the next time you run in that situation, you'll be prepared, right? You'll be in a position to where you're going to be more confident.
Exactly. Because look, Adam, man, you've been in this business for a long time. You've seen it help a lot of people, wrote a lot of business off your own pen. Just as anybody else, it's not better. Obviously, I would say better, but that people can only say the same thing. There are only a few different objections that they can say, right? That's why we are at an advantage when we go and do this, because you know what they're going to say. People can only say a few things. I want to think about it. I want to talk to someone about it. I want to sleep on it. Yada, yada, yada. They're going to say the same things over and over again. So the quicker that you see those reps, the quicker that you understand, this is what I'm going to say next time, you're going to be ready for it. That's why it's so important that if you don't get a deal, if you don't get a house, when you go back to your car, you're always replaying that. You're replaying that in your mind. What could I have said different? What could I have done different? Was it some way that I was looking? Was it some way that I was talking? Was it my hand? What did I do that time that didn't get me in? And what can I say next time? Because you're for sure going to see it again. There's no way around it. You're going to hear that objection again. But when you do that, you're prepared for it. So when you do see it again, you hit the nail on the head with the hammer. Don't beat yourself up. You never want to beat yourself up, but you want to be able to identify what you did wrong and what you could have done better. So that way, when you go to it again, when you see it again, you're ready for it.
Someone asked, what do you say, let me think about it, objection? How do you overcome that?
I do, man. This is called the suicide close, but in my time in this business, I have found there is no suicide close. All right? People say it's a suicide close. I don't believe that one bit. You know why? Because I've written up thousands of clients, and I've had people who have canceled their policy, who said this is the best policy in the world. They laid down, didn't have to do any.
Hey, Dylan, we lost you. Hey, D, we lost you, brother.
He has to go on the road and he has to sell the brake parts. Well, he says one time he goes, is it going on? All right.
Wi-Fi. All right. All right, so go again, suicide close. Want to think about it.
So this is the objection that I'm using all the time. Like I was saying in Tommy Boy, he goes and he has to sell the brake parts to the companies, right? Thanks, brother. One guy, he goes, you know what? I knew your father. He always had a good product and the brakes are really good, but I'm not going to buy any. And Chris Farley's playing Tommy Boy. He goes, why? Why aren't you going to buy any? And he goes, because there's no warranty on the box. A man, a person, a woman, no matter who's the purchaser, wants to feel comfortable that if they have to make a decision on the whim, that for whatever reason, if they don't like it, they can get their money back. Because that's the only thing they're worried about is losing money, right? So I say, perfect. I completely understand. In fact, I'm the exact same way. The only thing that we do today is we're applying for your policy. That way, your application that we're going over today, these rates will not change. You can push it back. Whatever time is better for you. I will pull out my calendar and I'll say, okay, today is the 3rd. If you made an initial amount today, it typically takes about 10 to 14 days for your policy to get back. I'm trying to be as analytical as possible. I'm showing on my phone. You're going to receive your policy right around the 17th. Once you receive that, you'll have an additional 30 days to kind of look over it, from the issue date to make sure that it's something that you want to do. If you want to increase, decrease, or flat out cancel the policy, you have the availability to do so. I want to be very clear about this. I am your licensed representative. Remember, you're selling yourself all the time. It's 50% program, 50% yourself. If you have any questions or any concerns, or you want to cancel this policy, you do not hesitate to give me a call and I'll take care of that for you. But that way, you're in the best possible position to make these decisions while you have a policy on hand to show whoever you want to show to, and especially if it's your kids, if they say, hey, I want to talk to my kids, instead of saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing, you say, look, this is what I've done. we have to look into it because we have this free look period, and it creates a sense of urgency for them. Versus you going and saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Your family's going to say, I don't want to hear about it, Mom. I don't want to hear about it, Dad. That's just the way that this all goes. So that way you can make these decisions, why you have the coverage to your name, and more importantly, why you have a policy. And I'll stress to them, it's simply an application. If you notice right here, simply an application. The closest thing that we have to a contract is our application. That way you can be able to see the fine print, and if you have any questions or any concerns or you change your mind, you get your money back. But people call that a suicide clause. I don't think it's a suicide clause. I think it just lets them know that, hey, if you don't like it, you can get your money back. Since we're doing it today, you know, you're making a little bit of a commitment today. If you don't like it, you can get your money back. Because just like I said, I've had people who I've never even had to say that to, who have canceled their policies and said, couldn't wait to sign up with me. And they cancel within the first month. And I got an NTO off. And then I have people who I had to say that 4 or 5 times to sink in their head, and they're still on the books. So that's what I use for everything. Same thing.
And so how many times will you try and overcome the objection in the house before walking out?
Obviously, it's a feeling type of thing. You know, you don't want to push too much where you lose the, you know, I can't even say that, because what I preach to is once you got the deal on the once you got the deal on the table, you got to go for broke. So I'm saying 3 to 5. If I see a little spark of interest, or they know they might want to do it, I'll even go more. You know, but it's all about how you say things. It's all about, if you notice right now, I'm using my hands. I'm talking, you know, in a certain type of way. Same thing when I'm going back and forth with them, I'm trying to reason with them. Man, you told me that, you know, when we first started, God forbid if you were to pass away, you wouldn't have anything for your family to pay for this with. You want to wait. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to come back at a later time, and it's going to cost you more. You're going to have the same amount of money that you have today, or you're going to have someone else come in, and you're going to have to do this process all over again. So this way we can get the ball rolling. You can get the application in, and there's 2 things. You say, I'm glad that I got this rate, my youngest, healthiest rate, or you cancel and get your money back. But that way you make these decisions while you're in the best possible predicament.
Excellent.
That's it.
What, let's see, anybody has any questions, put them there in the chat bar. Let's see what we got here. Let me think about it. What is your response to can't afford it? Oh, I just want to send the card to get information. I just want to send the card to get information.
So I will always dig deeper. You know, don't let these people, don't let it be that easy. You know, they sent it in for a reason. Don't let them lie to you that they were just looking into it. I always dig deeper. I'm saying, no, I completely understand you wanted information. Obviously, that's why we're here. I don't say that, but I'm thinking that in my mind and trying to make them think that too. Like, obviously, I know you want information, but was there something else that put it to the forefront of your mind? Usually, we see people look into this because they might have seen how difficult it was to either pay or plan for a final arrangement. You know, have you recently lost somebody? And they'll say, oh, yeah, well, you know, my family, one of my family members passed away a year ago. We had to do car washes. That way, you're bringing all those emotions up. And as far as for the can't afford it, one of the things that I'll always do is I will go down as low as I have to. Even like if I'm going back and forth, you know, I don't want to make them feel like, hey, I'm here to sell you the biggest policy. I always say, look, if you're on the fence about it, start at a lower one. Start at a lower one, get something going. And that way, you know, if you want to increase later, you can give me a call and we can take care of it. But that way you have something on hand. I always tell them, hey, I don't care if you apply for a $10,000 policy, if you apply for a $1,000 policy. The only thing that matters to me is this rate that we're talking about today. And I feel like that kind of gives you a little bit more credibility because you're not thinking, hey, I'm just trying to sell you for the biggest deal. No, hey, what you can afford is what you can afford. I don't discriminate. If it's $15, that's the lowest that we can go. At least that way you have something. I feel like when I'm in there, either when I'm by myself or when I'm with the agent, no matter if it's like a $15 deal, if it's a $100 deal, it's the same focus. It's the same tunnel vision. So I'll go down to all the way as $15. It's called our critical needs program. If they're saying they can't afford that, then don't be afraid to say it. Say, ma'am, if this $15 is going to be too expensive for you right now, what's that, like 30 cents a day, 50 cents a day? 50 cents a day. You got to break it down simple, stupid form. 50 cents a day. But if that $15 is too expensive, imagine how the thousands of dollars of bills that your family's going to have when they have to plan your service is going to look like. I had this lady in Modesto. She was telling me that she couldn't afford it. I said that to her, and, you know, bless her heart, she started crying. I gave her a little hug, but she ended up getting the deal because she knew that she could afford it. They're just trying to push you away, and they're trying to make it harder. I'm telling my guys, look, don't be afraid to be pushy. Why do people have coaches? Why do people have personal trainers? Why do people hire personal trainers just to push them to that next level? So that's the way you got to look at it. You're their final expense coach. You are here to push them a little bit and make sure that they're in the best possible position to make this decision, because if you don't, two things are going to happen. They're going to come back later. It's going to cost them more, or someone else is going to piggyback off of your hard work, and they're going to get that deal that you should have closed right then and there.
Or they're going to die with no coverage.
Or they're going to pass away with no coverage. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, and what did you get any of those rejections at the door?
Once again, when I'm at the door, look, I'm just here to give you information. The company asked me to come out and deliver your benefits package. There's no cost, there's no obligation. I just have to ask you a few quick questions. That way I can give you that quote and see exactly what you qualify for. When I'm at the door, I'm not trying to sell the policy. I'm just trying to explain why I'm there. I'm trying to throw that hook out there and hopefully they bite on something. Hey, I'm just here to, educate you on how these things work and how they tie into final expenses. And I'm here to see exactly what you qualify for. Once again, no cost, no obligation, but that way you can get the information that you requested and I can go back to my manager and let them know I'm doing my job. May I come in?
May I come in? Big,
Always may I come in.
Let's see what other question you have here. Any cold door knocking tips?
Cold door knocking tips. You have to talk to the great Eric Enriquez for that. One of the things that I do run the leads. I've always worked the leads. Obviously, I'll cold door every now and then, but I mean, it's as simple as saying, hey, I'm involved with Lincoln Heritage. We offer final expense plans. Have you ever thought about it? But I'm not by no means a cold door knocking expert. That's one of the areas that just like I said, you can always improve. That's one of the areas that I do want to improve in. But yeah, you'd have to talk to Eric Enriquez about that.
46% close ratio. You're doing good. Let's see what we got here. I need to research it first. Mom always taught me not to say yes on the first time.
I say I completely understand. The only thing that we're doing today is simply an application. I advise you to do your due diligence and make sure that this is the right program for you. And once you do that, you're going to see that this is the right program for you. But that way, if anything were to change with your health, your age, your medication, that way nothing changes with these rates. That all goes back to the free look period. You have that time to do it, but if something changes in that time, you have this coverage while you make those decisions. And I always tell them, look, if you find something and you feel it's better, give me a call. If it's better, I'll let you know. It's going to be hard to be better than Lincoln Heritage, but if it is, I'll let you know. It may sound braggadocious, but even if I have to pull it out, I'll be like, ma'am, sir, we get, anywhere between 350 to 400 people involved. I get 350 to 400 people involved with this program a year. If it's something you have to change, it's no sweat off my back to do so. But what is sweat off my back is knowing that you have a need for it after we just sat here and talked about how much need you have for it, and you come back at a different time and you don't qualify for the same rate, or you don't qualify for the immediate coverage, or you don't qualify for what you qualify for today. So all those things, put it in their head, at the end of the day, make no mistake about it, guys, they know they have a need for it. They wouldn't be even looking at you or hearing what you have to say if they didn't have a need for it. And that's one of the things, like one of the last things that I'll say, this is, if I'm going back and forth, I'll say, hey, if this is something important for you, if you've been thinking about it and you know that you have to make, you have to do this, the only thing that we're doing today is making sure these rates never change. If it's not too important for you, we don't have two legs to stand on here. I'll get up and leave right now. But if it is something important for you, the only thing that I'm saying is make that decision while you're in the best possible predicament. You got to get them thinking.
Excellent. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions here? And you guys,
yeah. Man, it's tunnel vision. When I'm in there, I'll try to get both of them involved, because obviously if it's husband and wife, one can be present, one doesn't have to be present. They can do it for each other. But I'll say, same thing. You guys have that free look period to talk over with each other, but you do it while you guys are covered. And if I have to come back out here and help you fill out the forms or go over with your family, your husband, your children, that's what I'm here for to do. Remember, you have to sell yourself as their licensed representative, that you're not just here today and gone tomorrow. Because if that were the case, what's the difference between doing it from someone that sends them a letter in the mail that they call states and states away? It's a personable thing. Hey, I'm here to assist you make all this stuff make sense. So that's the one thing I always just try to preach to people is like, hey, do it while you're in the best possible position. That's it. you approach it when your lead asks for information for a loved one that has no idea they're asking for information? Well, obviously they have to have insurable interest. If they're asking for somebody that one of their family members, and that obviously means that they're going to probably have to take care of it, or they're worried about having to take care of it. So I'm doing the exact same presentation. I'm just using them, as their examples. I'll get as much information as I can as far as their health. Obviously, if you're doing a final expense, you have to do that supplemental app. Let them know that, hey, we're going to have to do a phone verification at some point. But remember, guys, when you're in there, your job is to get that application in, right? Your job is to get that application in. Lincoln, we're lucky because Lincoln's going to pay you on payday or submission. They're not going to pay, or not submission. They're going to pay you when you send the policy in for that payday. It doesn't have to get issued. So you can do all that stuff on the back end that you have to do. Once again, you're selling yourself on how you're the representative, and you're going to help with that. But we want to get the deal done. We want to get the rate applied for, and then anything that we have to do on the back end, we're going to take care of that as well. How do you ask for referrals? I'll do a $25 referral fee. Anybody they refer to me, I'll give them a $25 cash or a gift card. Or if anybody else is in the house, then I'm, hey, what do you have? If I could assign the dog up or get involved with the dog with the program, we do that too. But, don't ever be afraid to ask. You have to understand, so I tell people, sometimes in this business, people get too worried about what they're thinking about you. I've been here, few years now, and one thing I can tell you is that even if I sell them or get them involved with the program or I don't, it's hard to remember everybody. So what do you have to lose? They're not going to remember you. You're not going to remember them. When you're in that pocket, you have to go hard for it, whether you're closing the deal or you're asking for referrals. If they think you're pushy, if they think you're a low down, dirty salesman, hey, that's their opinion. You're not going to remember them tomorrow. Or maybe in the next week or something like that. But the thing is that when you're in that pocket, you have to go hard. You have to, because if you don't, someone else is going to write it. Someone else is going to piggyback off your deal, and they're going to get the commission and not you. They're going to feed their family and not you, or the person isn't going to have anything. So that's the type of mindset that you have to have when you're sitting down with these people.
And another thing, talk about a little bit about attitude, because that's a thing, especially for new people.
Big thing.
They can get tied up on one objection, or understand you're not going to close every deal. You're going to sometimes you might get 3 or 4, people that are jerks or mean at the door, whatever. Not dwelling is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, look. Attitude is everything. That's what we were talking about when we first started, right? You can look at it 2 ways. You can look like, man, these people are being rude to me, poor me, blah, 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 blah. Or you can be like, no, I'm out here. I'm putting the time in. I'm seeing the people, and I'm going to run into people who this is important for. Make no mistake about it. When you're putting the time in, it's always going to equate to sales. It always is going to equate to sales. This has been one of the most consistent things that I've had in my life, is working with this company and helping our clients out. You might go 1 or 2 days, you might run into you might be fishing in bad waters, but they're not all like that, So don't think like, hey, I got a bad, or even like with the leads, I got a bad batch in this area, I'm never going to work that area again. No, you just ran into a couple of bad people, right? So there's 2 ways to look at it. And if you look at it, hey, I'm driving around, I'm talking to all these people, I'm not making any money, that's what you're going to get. But if you look at it the way that I look at it, and the way that every successful agent looks at it, hey, I'm putting the time in, I'm talking to the people, I'm getting through this stuff, it's always going to equate to deals. And that's one of the things that I think that new agents especially have a tough time with. When I first started, you'd have some success, you go and write some deals, then you have 3 or 4 days you wouldn't write nothing. It's a roller coaster. The only way to be on that bad boy when it goes up is to stay on it when it's down low. So don't ever second guess yourself. That was one of the things that I had to nip in the bud. Is like, hey, maybe I can't. Can I be a life insurance agent? Can I do this day in and day out? And through time, you just see that, hey, that's how the lay of the land is. That's how the business is sometimes. Sometimes you're killing it. Sometimes you're not. But it's always going to come back around, especially if you're putting the time in.
Huge thing. I don't know. Is there any other questions there?
Give them a quote. What hurts? There's something here already. Always. Yeah.
What was the question?
Yeah. I think he was kind of explaining that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys have any other questions, go ahead and write them right here in the group chat. Hope I helped you out today. This business, it's all in between your head, man. So it's all how you look at it. Attitude is the biggest thing. Just like Adam says too, man, don't ever be afraid to ask questions to your manager. That's what we're here for. If we don't hear from you, then that makes it look like you're not working. I know when I first started, I would bug Jesse, I'd bug Nate, I'd even bug Adam. but that's the only way that you're going to learn. Motivational reading. I still watch stuff on YouTube, you know, sales tech, you know, stuff like that. Don't ever be afraid to keep educating yourself. And one of the things that I want to touch on too is words. Words are so important because what we do here is paint pictures for people, right? A painter uses a canvas, a brush, and paint. Me and you, we use storytelling, we use questions, examples. So one of the things is get a couple of these words out of your vocabulary. Don't ever say sell. Don't ever say cost, price. Don't ever say sign. Don't ever say deal. I always say, hey, I got your family member involved with Lincoln Heritage, or we're just going to authorize today, or $5,000 is going to be in the amount of $54 a month. All those things, all those little intricate things make a difference. And if you say one hot word, that can build that wall immediately, and you're not getting a deal. So yeah, that's some of my advice.
Any other questions, sir?
No, it looks like that's about it.
That's it.
You guys have anything else?
Do you mind giving out your phone number?
Yeah. Phone number is 559-232-5441. Once again, that's 559-232-5441. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to text me or give me a call. With the client, or I'm on the road, just simply leave me a message and I'll get back to you ASAP. Once again, we love sharing the knowledge. The culture here is, you know, there's enough out here for everybody to eat. Anybody that's willing, we know it's tough. We know it's a tough gig that we do, and anybody that can excel in, or anybody that puts the time in, we've got a great deal of respect for them. Anything that we can do to help you and make this process easier, that's exactly what we're here to do. So don't ever be afraid to do that.
All right. So, and then the first person that texts me what Dylan's closing ratio was for the last 12 months, my number is 559-363-3066, 559-363-3066. Whoever sends me what Dylan's closing ratio was. Oh, let's see who the first one was.
Adam's he's always trying to throw them fun coupons out, y'all.
All right, Tom Fernandez. All right, so hey, Dylan, if you would, let's let Dylan spin the wheel for himself.
Woo! Let's get that 500 one time. Let's go.
Okay, we'll have you spin it for Tom.
Yeah. Tom, if the 500 goes, you have to claim it, bro.
Guess what? We'll leave this thing for you.
We'll give you $100 in
That 25 loves me.
All right, then what is spin for Tom? We'll give you $100 just to go.
Let's see.
All right,
25
$25. All right. You know what? We'll go ahead and spin one more. Anthony Rock was like literally at the same time. Let's go ahead.
Let's go, Anthony. I'm going to do this one a little bit slower for you. Hopefully that 25 minutes.
All right,
Boom,
$100.
$100.
All right.
All right, guys, go out there and make it a great day, and let's get it.
I appreciate you, Pete. Thanks, man. Thank you. If you guys need anything, let us know.
Where do I get my hair done, Dylan? Hey, I just got out the gym right now. I just tied it back, brother.
Thank you guys. You guys have a great day.